I'm Jeff Gould, and this is about finding significance. Let me just describe who you are a little bit. If you're watching this or paying attention to this in any way, it's because you're trying to figure out what the next step is. You're probably 45-ish to maybe 60-ish. You've talked about retirement your entire life, but now that you're close to it, now that you see it as a possibility, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, isn't it? Because you don't know exactly what that looks like. There's a grandfather clock in the background. You might be able to hear it chiming a little bit. That's the clock that's ticking. You don't know how many more years you have left. You've seen people, maybe your parents have passed away. You realize that I don't have that forever time like I used to. Jim Riefenberger, our business chaplain, is with us as well. What are the feelings that these people are going through who are facing this? It sounds terrible to say facing retirement, but there's stress involved, isn't there?
For sure. I think a good word to use here is there's a transition going on, right? You're starting to wonder, like the people out in front of you, are they living their best life? What does my best life look like? Should I be working, volunteering? Should I be saving? Should I be healthier? I mean, there's just a lot of things going through
That
your
guy,
mind.
that guy across the way, he's retired. How come he looks crabby? He's yelling at kids to get off his lawn. They seem to have everything that you want, but they don't necessarily seem like they're particularly happy. And what do you do when you're not that person anymore? Isn't it interesting, Jim, especially as men, especially as Americans, we define ourselves, first thing is name, second thing, so what do you do? And right, what do you do when you're not that guy, that occupation anymore?
And as a person working in businesses, it's not just the business owner who's trying to build an exit plan. It's all the people that work there that I've coached or had a cup of coffee with that have expressed, you know, being closer to their kids or what other things do they do besides this job. And I think you put so much time into the work that you sometimes don't realize just what you're really best at.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because what we see, Simon Sinek does this presentation, finding your why or what, but there's a deeper level. It's your who. Who are you exactly? And this is something that young people think about all the time, and then you get into the workplace where you got to pay the bills and you don't really think about it. And but maybe that job you do, even if you're good at it, is it really who you are, or is it just something you struggle through to pay the bills? That is really the focus of this when we start. It's clarity on who you are. So if you're listening right now, don't think about the job description. That's not important. Who are you? And Jim, what tool do you use to help people figure that out?
In the significance master class, we have the first four steps are kind of lumped into this clarity session. So we take the talent code profile, something I developed over 15 years. It's a unique personality test that helps you kind of quickly see what your God-given talents are, not to learn things, but the things you're natural at.
So we have
Also,
the
what
wheel pulled up here, for example. Let's take a look at that. And there's 8 different words to describe people. Now there's millions of people, but we start here. And for example, I would be a promoter. You can see that on the upper right hand of the wheel. This means I'm a creative person, but I also like to connect to people. And that makes me a promoter. And maybe you know people who you would describe as promoters. We have good points and we have bad points as well. And Jim, who are you on this wheel?
so I'm a developer. I'm in the upper left. So I'm a combination of the creative side and also the analytical side. So I like to kind of sometimes better at taking things that already exist and making them better than I am just starting them from scratch.
Can't you see perfectly why Jim was able to do this? Because he was able to look at existing personality profiles and make them better and simpler to understand, right? But I also have some gifts too. One is teaching, and one is encouraging, and one is a visionary. What gifts do you have, Jim?
So we call these spiritual gifts in the workbook, and they're mine are discernment, teaching, and encouraging. So I like to use those three gifts to help other people find their way.
And helping, that's a good point. So, can you see that if you were on the wheel and just work with people who were exactly like you, that wheel would be awfully lumpy? What you want to find is people who complement your gifts with their own, and now you've got something. Now you can really start this journey to significance. We talk about the three stages. There's clarity, which is what Jim is talking about now. But maybe as you listen to this, you go, wow, wait a minute. If I actually knew who I was, wow, I could really go places. Right. That's called energy. Because once you know exactly where you are, that gives you energy to go to that next stage. Jim, talk about that for a bit.
So energy is like that ability to kind of finally feel like you got a map and a plan and a way to go that you feel like you're going to get somewhere. So I think this comes in the other steps. But one of the things that we do is we kind of put them in this so-called time machine, and we start to look ahead 20 years, and people are able to identify like where they want to be at in 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, what experiences they want to live, who do they want to do it with, maybe what kind of resources will it take, how healthy do I got to be to do these things. So it starts to sort of like allow a person to realize that, hey, I actually have a longer plan, and now I can peel it back into something I can work on right now and start to really get traction.
Yeah, so one of the things that's in the masterclass toolkit is a map. And this map it literally is the old-fashioned fold-up accordion map because that's what you're doing. You're looking at the map of your life and seeing where that takes you next. And it's a day by day journey, which takes us to our third step, which is fulfillment. It's a very exciting journey, but it is a journey. Every single day I learn a little bit more about myself, and this is the fulfillment part of the journey.
And what's really interesting about fulfillment, so picture that when we give you your map and your kit, that you've identified what you're really best at, and then you've identified where you want to go in 20 years. You have this X on the map. But along the way of this hike, there's some turbulence. And I think in this step, when you start to realize things like adversity and fear and behavior that you've been kind of mulling through, a lot of reason you're not on the X is just simply getting momentum and confidence to get there. And so in some ways, we identify the enemy and we remove it.
So this is the beginning of a series of programs and podcasts and all sorts of things we're putting out there to help you on your journey. And this means that in upcoming episodes, we're going to talk about specific people. We're going to help identify them and what their talents were and give them real clarity of where they're at. And then we will talk about the obstacles that they face and the energy needed to overcome those obstacles. And then that very contentment filled journey that they are on right now. So we'll continue this down the road. We do want to honor your time because we realize you're a person who's got to do things. So all of these programs are designed to be pretty short. We get to the point and get on with it. If you have questions, you can reach out and contact us. You can also, if you want to, take advantage of some of the tools we have, which is the Talent Code Profile and also the Significance Masterclass. But that is all the time we have for today's program. Until we meet again, I'm Jeff Gould.
And I'm Jim Riefenberger.
God bless.